Hey guys, how you doing? Dan here, and today I thought we could have a quick look at whether the DJI Mini 2 is still worth buying in 2021, 8 months after the original release date last year. I thought we could have a quick reminder of the key specs of the Mini 2 drone, and then have a look at things I absolutely love about the drone, things I don't like as much about the drone and I'd love to see improved on the DJI Mini 3, and finally I'll answer the question whether or not I think the DJI Mini 2 is worth buying in 2021. Let's get into it. Of the key specs of the DJI Mini 2. First of all, it's less than 250 grams. It's actually only 242 grams, and that includes the battery and micro SD card. We've also got a maximum speed of 16 meters a second on the drone when it's in sports mode. DJI states that you can get 31 minutes out of a single charge on a battery. That was in perfect conditions. I tend to get about 23 to 25 minutes out of my batteries, but I'm not flying in perfect test conditions. Going on to the camera of the drone, we've got a 4K 12 megapixel camera. It does 4K video, and that's in 24, 25 and 30 FPS. And it can also shoot 24, 25, 30, 48, 50 and 60 FPS in 2.7K and full HD, which again is absolutely amazing if you want to do a little bit of slow motion on the DJI Mini 2. And the camera also takes raw DNG images, which is absolutely amazing to make sure you're getting the most out of your images possible. We've also got Occusync 2.0 on the DJI Mini 2, which is operating on the 5.8 GHz or 2.4 depending on your location. And with this super good connection, depending on where you are, you can either fly 10 kilometers with the drone or 6. But in all honesty, with keeping visual line of sight of the drone, you're probably going to be getting nowhere near 6 or 10 kilometers. So that's pretty much it for the key specs reminder for the DJI Mini 2. Let's get into the things I absolutely love about this drone and reasons I would definitely recommend it. Just before we go any further, I just wanted to remind you guys about my giveaway on Instagram. All you have to do to enter is like the post and tag a drone flying friend, and that's pretty much it. So the first thing I love about the DJI Mini 2 is the value for money. And this value for money is going to pretty much cover the other points. The fact you get so much with this little drone for the price it is. So in England it's £419 for the drone, the remote controller and the battery, or it's £549 for the drone, 3 batteries, the battery charger, the remote and some other DJI Mini 2 goodies. And when we're speaking about value for money, I know people see drones as different things. Some people see it as a drone and it's just a hobby just to get out and fly, like, you know, the model aircrafts. And for some other people, it's a filmmaking tool. And that's what it is for me. And is what this £419 drone allows me to do is up the production values on my videos quite a lot. Now, I'm not saying that this is the best camera in the world. It's not the best camera in the world, but it's £419, so I'm not expecting it to be the best camera in the world. That's fine with me. But is what this drone allows me to do is get shots I wouldn't normally be able to get from positions I wouldn't normally be able to get to. And for me, just being able to have the drone a little bit higher up, get some really nice moving intro shots, it just adds so much production value to my work. And I think this is one of the biggest things about the DJI Mini 2. The expectations for it are extremely high, even though it is a consumer budget drone. I just think for the amount of money you pay for the DJI Mini 2, you actually get a lot back in return. The second thing I love about the DJI Mini 2 drone is the fact the camera is actually pretty good. The camera is 4K, which is absolutely ideal for most current workflows. It does only go up to 30 FPS at 4K, but for me, that's not a problem at all. I tend to find I speed a lot of my drone shots up rather than slowing them down, so I don't need the extra 30 FPS to get to the 60. Super happy with the 4K 30, 25 and 24. If you do want to get a little bit of slow motion on the camera, you can go to 2.7K or 1080p, and then you can go up to 60 FPS if you do find something you want to slow down in post-production. I love that you can set the little camera to pro mode, so you can really fine tune your settings in, and it does really expand the potential of the drone for someone like me who will use it for video productions. In terms of photography, we've got a 12 megapixel camera, which I know some people complain about, but I don't really understand how you can complain about a 12 megapixel camera on a £419 drone. It's fine. That's not a problem. I mean, how many megapixels are you expecting it to have for £419? If it was £600, £700, I would be expecting maybe a 20 megapixel camera, but it's not. So I'm totally over the moon with a 12 megapixel sensor. And if you've seen some of my previous videos, you can actually stitch images together to make a higher megapixel image. The app allows you to stitch panoramas together to get a nice 360 image, which gives you a higher resolution image. It allows you to capture a wide shot, which is 9 images stitched together, which again increases the megapixel of your images, or you can just shoot images on your own and then stitch them together in post-production. In one of my videos, I stitched over 50 images together off a lake, and that image was over 100 megapixels. So again, that's another reason why the 12 megapixel camera doesn't bother me at all. I think it's absolutely perfect for the price of a drone. Super, super happy with that. The next thing I love about the DJI Mini 2 drone is the portability of it, and that includes the size and the weight. So the fact it's less than 250 grams gives you immense freedom with this drone. Now, you can't fly the drone everywhere, we all know that, but it does open up a wider amount of places where you can fly this drone. Now, in regards to the size of this drone, it's absolutely amazing to how small it packs down. Like, that is literally it. It's pretty much the exact same size as my iPhone in terms of height and width. Depth, it's obviously maybe 3 or 4, maybe even 5 iPhones, but that doesn't matter. So this fits in my camera bag with my Canon R6, the remote controller, charger with the 3 batteries in it, a whole range of ND filters for my Canon R6 and the DJI Mini 2. There's also a couple of lenses in there, and there's also my GoPro in there as well. So it fits in very nicely, and it's not the biggest bag in the world. But it's what I love about this portability of it is that you can pretty much take it anywhere. You can always have it in your camera bag, or you can always have it in your car, and it's just there ready to go. You don't have to worry, oh, it's a little bit too big, I can't squeeze it in my camera bag. It's there, ready to go, ready to fit in. It's almost like you're never going to miss an opportunity with it. Now, just whilst we're talking about portability, I just want to quickly mention the remote controller, because I know a lot of people don't like it because of how big and how bulky it is. I love it. It fits in your hands very nicely. I've got to admit, I do have quite big hands, so maybe if you had smaller hands, it would be a little bit too big, but it feels nice, it feels weighty, it feels almost premium, and I'm glad it's not a plasticky, kind of flimsy remote control. I'd rather have all the tech in here to allow a safe flight with a DJI Mini 2 drone, rather than kind of compromise on that and have a smaller remote controller. It kind of completes the package of a DJI Mini 2 for me, is what I'm trying to say. The third thing I love about the DJI Mini 2 is the battery life. So DJI states that you're going to get about 31 minutes per charge of battery. Now, that's tested in ideal conditions, which many of us, probably all of us, don't really fly in. I tend to find I get about anything from 22 to 25 minutes, depending on my flights or the flying conditions. But in all honesty, I'm more than happy with that. Again, because of the size of the battery, look how small that is. The fact you get 25 minutes out of that is pretty great to me. I would 100% recommend getting the Fly More combo, so you end up with 2 extra batteries and the battery charger for all 3 batteries. That will give you in total of anything from 60 to 90 minutes of flying time. Whilst we're speaking about battery, the battery life in a remote controller is absolutely amazing. I don't have to charge this nowhere near as much as having to charge these. Once this gets to about half charge, I will charge it up again. I get 3 or 4 flights out of this before having to charge the batteries. If you are looking to buy a DJI Mini 2, there is a link in the description down below for the Fly More combo and just the standard package too. The next thing I love about the DJI Mini 2 is Occusync. Now, in some countries that's up to 6 kilometers and other countries that's up to 10 kilometers. Now, that's all great, that's all well and good, but in terms of visual line of sight, we're never ever going to be able to see that far, so it doesn't really matter whether it can go that far. What I'm bothered about is the strength of the connection whilst it's in my visual line of sight, because that's how I'm flying and that's what I'm focusing on. So the fact it is such a strong connection when I can see the drone and when it's in my line of sight, that gives me the confidence in the remote controller and the connection with the drone where it's not going to drop out and it's going to be a super strong connection. And it just means that it's one less thing to worry about while flying the DJI Mini 2. And finally, the last thing I really like about the DJI Mini 2 is the DJI Fly app. I love the user interface. I like how easy it is to get from different modes such as video to photo mode. I like how you can customize a lot of the settings in the DJI Fly app. I also like that you can look back at your footage immediately as a proxy file on the DJI Fly app. I love what it's got the DJI editor, which is super powerful. It allows you to edit videos, photos, add external music to your pieces. So if you're out and about and you don't have access to a laptop or something, it's great to be able to get a quick edit out for your social medias. I also really like all the flight data what's stored, how you can look back at all your previous flights, see exactly where your drone was, see exactly which buttons you was pressing on the remote controller, see how your joysticks were. I just love how all the data is there ready to go. Before we go any further with this video, I wanted to let you know that one of my next videos will be having a look at some of your images captured on the DJI Mini 2 and providing some feedback. So if you're interested in that or want to be part of that, leave a comment down below or drop me a message on Instagram and then we'll sort out swapping the pictures over. But I think it'd be a good way to engage and interact with you guys and also put your work out there. And I'm super excited to see what you guys have captured with the DJI Mini 2 drone. And so I'm being fair with this video. Here are some things which I don't really like about the DJI Mini 2 and things I would love to see improved when the DJI Mini 3 is released. So number one is I would love to see some sort of flat colour profile on the DJI Mini 2. Now again, we've got to set our expectations at a realistic level. I can totally understand why there is not a flat profile on the DJI Mini 2. It's made for consumers, it's not made for professionals, so why would you include one? Now I wouldn't mind too much if I had to pay extra for some sort of flat profile, similar to how you have to do with Panasonic with the GH5, where you pay extra to get Vlog, which is fine. I'd be totally happy to do that. I kind of see the flat log as a limitation to the DJI Mini 2, but I could see how it could be implemented going down the line in the future. I'd also love to see some sort of proper time-lapse mode. Now I know you can set some intervals on the DJI Mini 2, but I'd like to be able to set it a little bit quicker or a little bit slower and really fine-tune those time-lapse settings. I could see that being done as an update on the DJI Fly app in the future. I'd also love to see some waypoints. Now I know you can do this with the Litchi app and I'm hoping for the SDK to be released for the DJI Mini 2 soon, so we can do that sort of stuff over there. But I'd love to be able to kind of set some waypoints for the drone to be able to follow along. That way I'd be able to capture the really big top-down images a lot easier, like I did with the lake. That would automate that process, which would be very nice. And it would also mean that you could make proper controlled hyperlapses with the DJI Mini 2 as well, which would be a huge bonus in terms of filmmaking and video production. I'd also love to see some form of additional active track, even if this was at a super basic level. Again, I'm setting my expectations in reality. I know I totally understand why it's not on here, but I would love to have it, even if it was just tracking left to right, or if I'm up above and following me. I'd just love some sort of active tracking. I guess we've got the quick shots, but I would love to see that taken one step further in the future. Along the same lines as active track, I'd love to see some sort of obstacle avoidance. Again, I'm setting my expectations at a reasonable level. I don't think we'd see any sort of active track, but apparently this LED on the DJI Mini 2 was originally going to be a front-facing obstacle avoidance sensor, so maybe on the DJI Mini 3 we will see some form of it. I guess when the DJI Mini 3 comes out, it's got to be a big enough upgrade to swap from the DJI Mini 2 to the 3, and the only way I can see doing that is to add stuff like obstacle avoidance sensors, to add a better camera. I don't know how they're going to really do it, because I'm hoping they're going to keep the drone under 250 grams. I mean, they might change that and they might go above it, but I think the DJI Mini 2 has done so great because it's under 250 grams. So it will be interesting to see what DJI do in the future, especially with the Mini 3 or some sort of, you know, DJI Mini 2S, see which way they go. So we get into that stage of the video now. Would I buy the DJI Mini 2 again? Yes, I would, 100%, absolutely. If I was to crash this drone tomorrow, I would buy a new one, 100%. It's such a brilliant drone for all the reasons I've mentioned in the video and more. I didn't have time to get them all into the video. They were just the things I loved the most about it. In all honesty, I can't really complain about anything on it. In some weird way, I kind of wish there was more negative things to talk about it, but there's not. I just absolutely love it. So I hope this video has answered the question for you guys, should you buy the DJI Mini 2 in 2021? And I just wanted to say, if you did enjoy this video, please like, comment and subscribe. That'd be absolutely amazing, thank you. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.